for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
S-I-C-K,
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. CF Montreal Talk.
Here's the chance. They've got the goal. Absolutely incredible. Cameron Porter delivers the goal to send Montreal Impact into the CONCACAF Champions League semi-final.
The sickest CF Montreal podcast. Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. Playground. Your premier gaming destination. Complete Striker. And Enov Sport.
Collaborer avec Enov Sport, une compagnie d'ici afin de dynamiser l'apprentissage et la pratique du sport pour tous et partout.
Les différents produits permettent de rester actif tout en développant sa confiance, son autonomie et sa technique. Des produits efficaces, progressifs et personnalisés avec le logo de votre école.
Enov Sport, pour tous et partout.
It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Monday, April 8th. Good afternoon. It is a couple of minutes past 1 p.m. Eastern, and the CF Montreal getting absolutely obliterated on Saturday night in Seattle. We'll talk about it in just about a minute or two. Once again, special thanks to our partners and our sponsors, Energy Transportation Group, Playground, Enov Sport from Patrice Bernier, and Ali Gerba's Soccer Center in Mirabel, Complete Striker. All right, okay. I am under the weather, as some of you probably can see. I think I look rather congested. I can tell you that I am very congested, but you know what? This is not the most physical job in the world. I don't have to go out there and run for 90 minutes. But then again, not everyone ran for 90 minutes on Saturday night either. Let's bring them in. It's going to be one of those shows. Ali Gerba and Patrice Bernier, how are you?
Good. Tony, how's it going? Hello, Ali. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Pat. Hello, Tony. Not feeling
Guys,
great. Not under the weather, but not feeling great.
It was one of these games just seems to happen almost like every year for almost every team. I can remember, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but did they not lose by a score of 5-0 versus Vancouver 1 year ago? Was it 2 years ago? Or
Vancouver and New England. It was 4-0, 5-0. One of those.
Yeah. That famous game, by the way, versus Vancouver, guys. Losada's speech at halftime was, okay, guys, don't do anything out of the back. Kick the ball out. Don't take any chances. Let's defend better. Let's try and keep the score what it is. I think they were down 3-0, guys. Instead of telling the team, we got one more half here. Let's come back. Let's try and win it. He told them, let's try and end this game 3-0 for Vancouver. They lost 5-0. But anyway, I digress. But Saturday night, guys, if we have to say that if the first 6 games, if we would have said, you know what, they're going to pick up 7 points going into the season, I think we would have been happy. Based on what's happened in the last 3 games, we're not, based on what happened, especially on Saturday night. It's got to be very, very concerning. By the way, I want to say hello to the good people over at 1642 Montreal. They sent out an invitation. They asked me to show up at a restaurant on the South Shore in Brossard on Saturday night, which I did. Nilton George was there. Max Truman was there. Jeremy Filosa was there. La Blonde à Mathieu Chouanière et à Nathan Saliba were there. Jules-Anthony Vilsain's father was there. The Sirois family was there. So it was nice to watch the game with so many people. But obviously, once again, everything that had to go wrong went wrong. Pat, how did you see the game?
I felt that the first few minutes before that first goal, the game they were coming out of it where a little bit more confident coming out of the back. But once that first goal came, I don't know, well, we all know what happened. But I mean, internally, I don't know what happened to them because it kind of like they shut down in terms of ideas, in terms of commitment. And then the second half, still at 2-0, which is still a score that you can come back. It just felt that Yeah, the message probably was sent, but definitely not delivered and executed on the field. And then they took 5-0. So that was a hard blow, starting off with a game that started off well in the sense that they didn't look like DC. We all saw, oh, man, this could be ugly. Well, this game started off well, and then we didn't expect for it to finish as poorly as it did.
Ali, let's take a look at the starting 11 for CF Montreal, which I can't wait for you to comment because you had your two players up top, your two forwards up top. So once again, Sirois in goal, a three-man back line. Waterman with Campbell on his right and Sosa on his left. Piet right in front of them with Saliba and Choinière. Now, all depending, guys, how you want to look at this formation. You can look at it and say you give it an animation of a 3-1-4-2 with Piet in front of the back line, or you can have Piet alongside Saliba and Choinière played in behind the strikers. It's two different animations you can give it. You can also see it as a 3-4-1-2 with Ruan as your right wing back, Lassiter as your left wing back, and Coccaro and Martinez up top. For Seattle, for Brian Schmetzer's side, it's a 4-2-3-1 with Fry in goal. Gomez and Reagan are your center backs. Roldan is your right back with Tolo as your left back. Vargas and Atencio are in front of them. Rusnak with Roldan on his right and Morris on his left. And Rafael Rui Diaz was playing up top. Okay, let's go back to CF Montreal's lineup if we can. Okay, let's keep that up there. Ali, your thoughts on the starting 11 for CF Montreal?
Honestly, like Patrice said before, then I think then the first 20 minutes, I felt good because you know what, they were coming out of the bag. They was playing nice, good combination and stuff. And the more the game progressed after the first goal, and that's why things start shutting down. And I'm like, you know what? And then you start seeing a little bit more flaws of different players. And it's for the two forward, and I always have my eyes on it to be like, you know what? It wasn't gelling. It was something just off. And I start thinking about, you know what? Maybe they want to prove so much. They want to do so much. And that's what I got a little bit disappointed after first 20 minutes. And after that, it was just, for me, it was just a disaster. I felt like...
But Ali, I can't wait to talk to you about Martinez, and I'm going to tell you why, okay? If there's anybody who knows what I'm going to be talking about, it's you. And hear me out on this one, okay?
Yeah.
I don't have no access to no fitness tests, no data, no nothing, okay? Optically speaking, Martinez doesn't seem to be at 100% of his fitness. Now, to tell you the truth, you're the best guy to answer this because you know what? Some people thought that you weren't always at 100% of your fitness, but you're a big guy, you're a thick guy, and sometimes you were at 100% of your fitness, and some probably thought you were carrying a couple of extra pounds. Is it his body? Do you see something going on there? Because it seems to me the fitness looks a little off, the coordination looks a little off, and deeper you go into games, he seems to lose and drop a little bit. Right now, he seems like he could be more of a super sub for those reasons. But once again, I don't have any access to any fitness data or anything like that. I could be wrong, but does he look fully game shape to you?
I would say no. And we talked about it last time that, you know, I was thinking that he's going to start the game maybe at home. Patrice, I remember that Patrice said that on the last conversation we have. And you're definitely right about it because it's coming from big injury. And Patrice, you know that when you're coming from a big injury, sometimes it takes you a year and a half or 2 years to be able to even come back from it. And I understand too the move that they want to spend a lot of money for him. So even when I see him during the game, I see what he can do. I see the vision that he have. Is that I noticed that is the fitness follow is a little bit difficult. I wanted to see him maybe in the middle of the season to see if he came back from those injuries. But so far, I feel like he's been, like you said before, he can be a sub. But at the same time, the money that we put for him to come here, and we're expecting him a lot for experience forward, that's why I'm questioning myself. Is game ready? and to be able to start a game and play 90 minutes. So because the last game we saw it, he was struggling big time, and both of them in front they were struggling because they couldn't find the gelling mode to be able to, for the combination to be able to do something. Everybody was working for itself.
I don't know about this starting 11 on Saturday night. Look, I get it. You faced a team that was like last in the West before the game. They were struggling, but you go on the road. You're playing game 6 of 6 on the road. You put 2 forwards up top. You and I agree that he's not at the top of his fitness. So now, for whatever reason, he's starting. We haven't seen chemistry between Martinez and Coccaro yet. You have 2 guys, Choinière, who's could play anyway, but he's maybe more offensive than he is defensive. You have Saliba, who is not overly defensive and he's not overly offensive. We're trying to find basically what he is still a little bit. It seems to me that it was a relatively unbalanced team to play in a place that was not going to be easy because they're desperate for points. You're playing in rain. You're playing on turf. I don't know. Just didn't seem like the right 11 for me or the right mix. Patrice?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the part that maybe I was a bit more surprised is usually your center backs, no matter if it's a pairing or if it's trio, you seldomly change 2 out of 3. Usually it's one, like, the games where it was Campbell, Waterman, Corbo at the beginning of the year. Campbell suffered an injury. Alvarez came in and he managed did okay. And now you change, you put Joaquin Sosa, which was his first start, and George Campbell comes back in. So there's a trio. Yes, they do work at training, but I mean, game time situation, they haven't really played together. So that's where I was like, okay, that's Saliba in the midfield. I can understand. At one point, you were going to do that during the year. Martinez up top, I think we spoke about it. I wouldn't mention his fitness because I think that's the style of player he is. Having seen him play in Atlanta, don't expect him to run ragged everywhere. But I do believe it's a lot of changes, and you were going into Seattle, which is not an easy place, no matter if they had 0 wins at the time. It's a tough opponent. They're missing some stars, but they're still a strong team, and we saw it in that game. So, yeah, having all those changes, me specifically at the back line, it's usually a place where you don't change that much the whole team, unless it's a game midweek and you want to rest players because you're playing another game on the Wednesday. But this was a game you're playing the following week, maybe keeping that same back line that's been strong. Even though they took goals, they've still been strong. To change that whole back line, I think that's where you lose chemistry, and it showed in the second half especially. People didn't know who goes in, who doesn't go. The chemistry between them wasn't there. So to change a lot of players, and especially at the back line, that's where I was like, it's not a position I've seen and I'm accustomed to, that there's that many changes at the center back position.
All right, let's take a look at the game sheet if we can. And we have it here. All right, okay. So Rui Diaz puts Seattle up at the 20th minute mark. Guys, I don't know if you can visualize the goal. Try to right now. Is there something that you saw on that goal? Because I know what I'm thinking of. Is there something actually on that goal and the foul that led to the PK 5 or 6 minutes later? There's a common thread here. There's something that happened both times.
The second ball. They're always late.
The ball in the air, and it's never them that are coming down with it or away with it. It's both times. You take a look. It's a Seattle player that is able to head the ball down. It goes to a Seattle player. Head the ball down. It goes to a Seattle player. I believe the first one, it was the ball got in but behind. Was it Coccaro and Lassiter on a free kick? Yeah. And the second one was Campbell, who heads it away. It goes straight to a Seattle player with a move on Waterman. So let's go back to goal number 1. Guys, a great shot. Saliba arriving a little bit late to try and block it. Up and over Sirois, a terrific shot in the corner. And then the foul that was play on and then VAR. Did you guys think the right call was made? Was it a PK? Ali?
Yes. I do believe it was a PK.
Ali, Patrice?
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, in the box, he takes the touch, gets touched. If there was no contact, they would have came, but there was contact, and we do know now in this age when you're in the box, if there's a slight contact, it gives advantage to the foul, and especially as you mentioned, Rusnak was the player. He took a great first touch, and then you could see he's clipped, and at the moment, the referee feels that maybe he's not touched, but the VAR came back, said he was touched, and the penalty was just announced
after the PK. I saw Amin Sabri on Saturday night. He was he was at the same resto bar as well, and Amin says, Tony, est-ce qu'il y avait penalty? J'ai dit, ben oui. Il dit, mais le gars, il a plongé. J'ai dit, oui, il a plongé, mais on a fait faute avant, right? Did he accentuate his fall? 1,000% he did. That's what anyone who's smart is supposed to do. Some guys do it without getting touched. He did it after getting touched. For me, it was clear as day. What do you
mean? Italian used to do that?
All the time. He makes, not as much as South Americans, though. He makes the move. He goes around Waterman, and then Waterman clips his left knee. I mean, did he accentuate the fall? Yes. No, without a doubt, that's a penalty. By the way, guys, you can't take penalties nicer than that, really. Low, far corners with some velocity to it as well, some power. Very, very hard to try and stop that. So that's your first half, guys. It finishes 2-0. So now, let me ask you this. Before you get to halftime, you're down 2-0 on 2 goals by Rui Diaz. Are you making changes at halftime, which the coach has done this year already? Yes or no?
Good question. I think everybody assumes that because Saliba had a yellow card, and you go like, is he potentially maybe at risk of getting a second yellow card? But I do believe the message is, if nothing happens in the next 5 to 10 minutes, subs are going to happen. If you put that pressure on the players because you did not make subs, but you're down 2-0, now you know they need to show something to you in the first few seconds. But yeah, it's 2-0 down. I think we all assume that maybe there's going to be an offensive push. You put Mathieu Choinière back into the middle, take Saliba out, put a forward in, Sunusi or Toy, or even maybe Rida Zouir, who sometimes played this preseason as an offensive player. So that's where I think we all think you're 2-0 down. Something has to happen to show that you're going for that game. I believe he assumed that his starting 11 had something more to show. But then, unfortunately, a second yellow card to Nathan Saliba changed the dynamics of the game. And then I won't say killed the team, because even if he came out, I thought they were trapped in a hesitation period. They didn't seem. I've seen teams with 10 put pressure on a team that is 11, and you just seen that Montreal was in the, as they say, like a boxer. He was on the ropes.
Yeah,
they weren't able to come out of the ropes, and Seattle was just. I think I counted 15 passes. 15 passes with no, I can't say no contention, but no possibility of winning it back.
Pat, you hit the nail on the head, okay? You're down 2-0 after having lost the last 2 games on the road. You're down 2-0 at halftime. You've done nothing in the first half. You have to change the dynamic of your team. You have to bring in another offensive player. Your locker room must have been pretty down at halftime. And what are you doing to spice things up at halftime? He did nothing. And you know what? Sometimes, like, look, Saliba, who got a yellow card, like you just talked about, he got a yellow card 3 minutes before halftime is up. Well, 10 minutes later, he gets another one and he's ejected from the game. But you got to take out a guy in the middle at halftime. You got to take out a guy in the middle. You decide who you want to take out. You want to take out Piet or you want to take out Saliba. You got to take one of the two out to put a more offensive player. Now, because Saliba had a yellow card, and because Piet is a guy who insulates a back three, of which you mentioned doesn't have much chemistry, Saliba's the guy you got to take out. Now, I'm not just saying this because we saw the game and he got his second yellow 10 minutes later, and now they're down to 10 men. It's only logical, Ali. You're down 2-0 at halftime. You got to take out a guy from the middle to put a more offensive player. You need to score 3 goals to win, 2 to tie.
I'm agree with the two's ideas with Pat, because we've been playing and we know that most of the time when you go back to the second half, the coach gonna tell you, and some of the coach they be very brutal about it, the way they say it. You guys better show me something in the next first minute. But you went there, you got to go right away. You should have done the change because you pass the message. You stand for what you say in the dressing room. Yes, I'm agree with you because you have to go there. You know what? I'd rather go lose a game with a change than I'm like, you know what? It would have made everybody happy to be like, you know what? At least he put some offensive player. He tried to make something happen. We would be like, okay. But when you don't do that and we sit that and we talk about it last time, it's like, is that the tactical? We start seeing the flaws of the tactical coach, or we doesn't know what is going on with this those type of situation.
All right. So what had to happen happened. Saliba gets his second yellow and a game ejection at the 53rd. Guys, you're the referee. Are you giving that second yellow?
It's a foul.
Yeah, it's a foul. He goes. It's like there wouldn't be one thing if he had been on his feet and he would have stuck out the leg. Then you could say, look, missed timing. But he slid. So, and usually considering your sliding is an intention not to hurt, but to tackle. And if you miss, usually you tend to get rewarded by a yellow card when you miss your sliding tackle. And so now when you look at it, some referees early in the game, they maybe would have been nice saying, hey, look, kid, I could get, depends on the referee. I've heard some referees say, I could have given you a next yellow, but the next foul, you're gone. Now, he started off the half well because if you remember, Saliba made that run, got the ball, turned, created a chance for Montreal. But then after that, he has this foul, and the referee decides at that moment that, you know what, you fouled enough in the game, and we don't know what happens on the field because he is the player who had the most fouls or created the most fouls. So maybe already in the first half, he's telling, look, kid, I gave you a yellow, but watch out because it's repetitive fouls. So, but yeah, for me, it was a yellow. It's always disputable, but it was rewarding of a yellow.
All right, guys. Some great passing, I thought, by Seattle, which is obviously it's set plays. They work on this stuff. There's a pass that goes in between Lassiter and Sosa down the right flank. Player coming in, crosses it inside the box, ahead of Campbell, right in front of Waterman, and the player Morris makes his run. He's behind Campbell. He's ahead of Waterman. He redirects that ball. Boom. It's 3-0. But for me, obviously, this was a great play. But, guys, he scores. You're 3-0. Saliba picks up that second yellow. This is what makes it even worse, guys. Everything we just talked about, Pat, we said at halftime, he likely should have taken out Saliba to put a more offensive player, either Ibrahim or Toy, and change the dynamics of his animation. Okay? He doesn't do it. This is the thing that drove me crazy now. The second Morris scores at the 48th minute, so he had a chance to make his changes at halftime, okay? He didn't. The second Morris scores, and it's 3-0. At that point, you have another chance to react and make a change again. And you still don't. And then Saliba picks up his second yellow at the 53rd, 5 minutes later. And then you wait to the 58th. At the 58th, what's his move, Patrice Bernier? He takes out Coccaro, a striker, to put Wanyama, number 6. No, guys, I'm sorry, Pat, you're laughing, but, I was on the South Shore. I was thinking of going to the Champlain Bridge and jumping off. Are you kidding me or what? Are you kidding me? Wanyama's the type of guy. They didn't put, hey, listen to this. This is the best part. So this is a comedy show today. They had a chance to put in Wanyama when they were up 3-1 in Chicago. They didn't put him. When they were up 3-2 in Chicago, they didn't put him. To hold the 3-3 tie, they didn't put him. When they're 0-0 last game, they can put Wanyama to walk away with points. They don't. They put him in down 3-0 in Seattle. No, but I'm going to lose my mind. Bali, am I joking? No. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
The worst thing is you're not wrong. Usually you lose it, but you're not wrong. But
what's the message to the team? The same message that Losada was sending. We're going to be fine to lose 3-0. Pat, it looked like we know what he did. He lost a midfielder, so he put one in. All right, but Pat, you're down 3-0. Was he already looking ahead to the next game and say, okay, you know what? Let's close it up here and let's park this bus and hopefully we lose only 3-0. Or, I mean, he didn't put him Wanyama to score 4 goals, Pat.
Maybe there's a part where start giving Wanyama some minutes. The part where I say is because when you have Mathieu Choinière on the field, for me, it's the reality that you can put him in the middle. He can always fill in that gap because he's been playing with Samuel Piette in the middle 5 of the last 6 games. So putting Wanyama for me is like, great. He'll get some minutes, and we all know. And I've been at that age. Ali knows. I don't expect Wanyama to be a superstar the first few minutes he plays. He needs minutes to play. As we spoke about Martinez, he needs to get rhythm. Because if people believe that the next game Wanyama starts and he's outstanding, I'm not thinking from outstanding. And he needs rhythm. He's a type of player who needs 4, 5, 6 games to see him reach the peak. So during the game, I look at it as Mathieu Choinière is there, so he can cover in the middle. And although Mathieu, we know he can go forward, that's the factor is Mathieu can play in the middle and be that extra offensive threat because you're down one man. And so you know that if you put Toy on the left or Ibrahim on the left or you bring him in up front, Mathieu can become that third attacker because he's able to go forward. Now, was it to block the middle, to have really solid 3 midfielders, Mathieu, Wanyama, and Piette there to cover the ground so that they don't get beat? Maybe the incentives was, let's try to defend better because they weren't doing much of that in the second half, and Seattle was just, if you could say, playing with them in terms of the possession and moving the ball.
Yeah.
But I do agree,
this, guys.
You're down 3, or you're going to make a move to try to get one back, or at least threaten the opposition that you can go and score. Because at the end of the day, we didn't even believe that they were going to score a goal. We all said, man, this could be 4, this could be 5, and it ended up being 5.
But look at his next change after that. Okay, so he takes out a striker, he puts in Wanyama, Coccaro at the 58th minute. 10 minutes later, he waits another 10 minutes. He takes out a striker to put in a striker. We understand Martinez doesn't have the game fitness to go more than those 68. I get it. But you now took out a striker to put in another striker. So then after that, let's go. I think he takes out Piette. He puts in Zouir. Okay, you're a little bit more offensive there. There's no doubt about it. Okay. And then you wait to the 80th minute to bring in Ibrahim over Choinière and to bring in Corbeau for Waterman. 81st minute, there's a 4th goal, and 90 plus stoppage, there's a 5th goal. What did you make, Pat, of the goals that went in, the 4th and the 5th? Is there anything you noticed?
Look, at the end of the day, the 4th goal, if I remember, is Rusnak.
I will tell you, Pat, after the 4th goal, the 3rd goal, I went to bed, huh?
No, but as I was saying, the 3rd goal, they were down. I don't think they were coming out of it. The 4th, it's a combination of Rui Diaz, Rusnak, great combination. Ball goes over the top, and then it's the right back who scores, or right wing back. Then they got caught. They got caught. I would say once they got scored that first goal.
By the way, Pat, Lassiter trying to come back, right? Because I think when they play three center backs, when they're defending, I think the goal is for Lassiter to move into a left back position. Correct?
Yes. When he comes, he's supposed to align so that they're five. It's Ruan, Campbell, Waterman, Sosa, and then Lassiter. There's supposed to be five defenders when they're defending. But yeah, for me, it was a lot of, I don't know who goes, ball watching. Ruidiaz knocks it, Rusnak comes in, and then Roldan runs right behind Lassiter. Just like the third goal. People were a lot of ball watching, which were looking at the ball and not paying attention to, is my man running? Am I blocking the passing lane, or am I blocking my man from going to make that run? And so it's one of those games, and Ali knows when you're in it, you're kind of in it, because I will always look at Mathieu Choignier's body language, because he's the guy who's usually going to give it all no matter what. And you could just see he was running around, and he was like, this is not our day. Like one guy's pressing, the other's not. And we're just running around and never getting close to the ball. And those goals just sum it up, because it's Seattle looking like they were FC Barcelona on the field.
Yeah.
We're just combining, making those triangle passes. And let's not forget, people talk about Montreal playing young players, and I want to put out there, but Seattle, those two guys in the middle, they're 22 and 18. And Cody Baker came in. He's 20 years old. The guy was called Reyes. He's 22. They've been at the club for 5-6 years. Just to mention that young players who get time can play. But it's just that I think second half, guys were just, I can't see you tune out, but you kind of like in no man's land. And you end up taking those types of goals where guys everything is not in sync. You're always late. You don't know, it should be him, it should be me. You're watching the ball, and your players those Seattle are just taking advantage of, I can score today because this is the type of game that I could put my name on the game sheet, on a score sheet, pardon me.
And plus that, to implement Patrice, I don't see a lot of team on the MLS who can take advantage of one man down. So far, I've been looking for all those years, and you know what? Even when you have a one man down, you can still fight and you can still compete. I felt like after the 20 minutes, Montreal couldn't compete no more with the other team, even without any man down. So that's why I was like, you know what? I was like Patrice said, one of those games and you play and you feel like you're playing, but everything around you is slow. You can even see the goal coming for 5 minutes away. You can be like, but you have nothing that you can do about it. So I would take that, you know what, even to judge the team or the player very hard. And I'll be like, you know what, it's a result too, because we don't take in consideration that they've been traveling a lot. And we need to find a way that cannot happen during the beginning of the season, because it's a lot of traveling. People, they can be like, it doesn't matter, but it's a lot of traveling. When you play the game with all those traveling, you take advantage of you. You come back, you train, you go back, you have to do all those traveling hours. It's not to give them any excuse, but we have to give them the fact that maybe.
But hold on a second here. Lost in the shuffle in all of this.
Yeah.
Team president Gabriel Gervais said something a couple of days ago that almost went relatively unnoticed. Very few members of the media brought it up because sell soccer and nobody really cares, all right, in this province. But anyway, that's another story for another day. That'll be in my book one day. He said something important, guys. He was asked about winterizing once again, playing the games on the road, winterizing Saputo Stadium. This is a topic that has been at the forefront over the last couple of years. We were told that this was something they were going to be looking into. They basically have abandoned this project. They're not going to winterize it anymore. It doesn't matter. Gabriel Gervais says, in the month of March, grass doesn't grow in Quebec anyway. Even if we winterize it, the grass won't grow. In Toronto, they have a hybrid field. Right? They have a hybrid field so that they can play these games. We know that winterizing the stadium putting all the plumbing and the pipes and this and that, whether it be underneath the ground, preparing that, winterizing the whole stadium so that the plumbing, everything, all of that stuff, winterizing the whole thing. We know it's costly. They don't give it away. But we also know that you can go to a hybrid field, and we know that could be costly too. There's things that could be done. What I'm saying is there's things that could be done that require an investment so that you don't have to start every year 6 games on the road. They've totally abandoned that. Ali, you're not concerned to hear that? No, forget it. It's off. You're not concerned by that?
But as an ex-player,
I got a bad feeling about this, guys. I got a bad feeling about this.
We're not gonna go there, Tony. But as an ex-player, we're gonna tell you exactly that. I think Patrice would tell you exactly the same thing. That it's very demanding of traveling that much for that. And now, when it comes to the organization of CF Montreal to winterizing the field, that's another subject, because every time then we can talk about it, people they take it like it's a lightly. You're asking those guys to go there 7 games in a row to get some point, but after that, you forget that the season, when they get back home, they have a lot of games too they have to follow. So it's demanding, and in the in the middle of the season, when those guys they're gonna start feeling that tiredness, you still want to ask them for the top result. So that's why sometimes I cannot go and be hard on the player, because I know exactly, like an ex-player, the amount of energy you have to keep to be able to finish the season and on the MLS. And plus that, you have the cup games, you have Champions League games, so it's a lot.
Well, if I add on, it's mostly because in this league we know, and I think in majority of leagues playing away, you're not going to win. You win less than 50% of the games away. You usually win maybe 20 to 30%. And if you're a good year, you maybe get to 50. So the reality is when you start out on the road, those points, the confidence, where you stand, where you're in the standings, I won't say it takes a toll, but it starts. So that's where I go, wait, last year, 7 games at the beginning of the season, 1 game at home, 3 points. They had 3 points in 7 games. This year, 7 points in 6 games on the road. So already 4 points more. And last year, we all know it was 1 point to make the difference. But it is a toll. Now, the good factor is they are going to come playing at home. And now, will they be able to do like last year? Because last year, they cashed in. Almost every game was a win early on at the season.
Yeah.
Will they be able to repeat that to compensate for the start on the road? So I know we're harsh, but if you look 7 points, we all said it. We were here 6 games on the road. I said maybe if they get 5 points, I'm happy, because I know how tough it is in MLS. You're going to lose at least half of those games. And we even said they're going to play in Miami. They're going to play in Orlando, in Seattle. Those are places where I almost say you're pretty much you're not gonna win. So they're coming out with 7 points. But yes, there is the factor that starting those seasons with a lot of games on the road, if you go back the last 12 seasons, look at the ones where the season went well, and it's usually because you had 2 or 3 games at home, because you compensated. You went to get those points that are good for the club, good for the mentality of the team. The morale knows, okay, we're playing. And even for the players you saw at the launch, everybody was enthused to meet the fans, because those are those first games. They're also that part where you go play at home and you have that pride to defend your turf. And that plays into the factor of the season. Because look at the MLS chart. They're the only team who has not played at home. Everybody has at least 3 games at home and maybe 1 or 2 wins. And that places you where you're 5th or 6th right now, or you're 10th or 11th. But let's give them the next few weeks where they're playing, I think, 6 out of 8 at home, which will balance out and tell us where Montreal really stands in the standings towards the rest of the season.
Patrice, I think you have your radio hit with our buddy Georges Larac on BPM Sport. Do you not?
Yes, I'm going there. Thanks for the shout out.
On that. Merci beaucoup. I appreciate
you guys,
it, Pat.
and catch you guys next week.
The great Patrice Bernier. All right, okay. Ali, I got to get back to this. Hear me out, okay? Just so I can keep my sanity, okay? And then people sometimes they say, Well, I'm not negative, okay? But you got to hear me out, okay? I think if I make a story, it's because it's out of something. I don't make stories out of nothing, okay? I need you to hear me out for a second, okay?
Yeah.
This is big business. Sports is big business. You make the playoffs is better than not making the playoffs. It doesn't mean you're going to be profitable if you make the playoffs, because they say that they lose money every year, but you have a lot more chance of at least breaking even and chance of making money if you make the playoffs. If I know that I play in a league that is a homer league, that teams usually win their games on the road, at home, usually lose their games on the road. And traditionally, ever since I broke into the league, I have to start my first 6 or 7 games of the season on the road, because you can't play outside here, because the field isn't winterized, because the stadium isn't winterized. And the only backup plan is to play a game at Olympic Stadium. But if you play a game at Olympic Stadium and there's more than 3 centimeters of snow, the game is going to be postponed. The game is going to be canceled. And if the game is not canceled and there's a little bit of snow, or even if there isn't, you're probably going to be scared to go, because there's a chance that a concrete slab might fall on your head. Okay?
Yeah.
At Olympic Stadium. I thought that was funny, by the way. You're not laughing, but I thought that was funny in a way. Okay, now.
I got you. I tried to take you serious.
So now, Patrice just talked. They're the only team that has not played a game at home, all this on this road, whatever. The last 3 games they've lost might end up being the difference between making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. It might. Even though they're going to come back and they have the next 6 of the next 8 at home, like you just said. If I own the team, I would spend whatever it was to spend to winterize the stadium, spend whatever it is to spend to winterize the field, have myself have a balanced schedule and an equal schedule like everyone else, not put myself behind the 8 ball 6 or 7 games in, because I've had, not have to worry about my team's fatigue that you just talked about. I would take care of that. If I don't take care of that, it means what exactly? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm worried.
I understand clearly.
I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Really, I don't. I get the feeling, and according to several former employees as well, they get the feeling that we're here. Messi Mania is here. We're happy to be here, and we're going to milk it. And once Messi Mania is over and expansion closes, and an American knocks on the door, or an American group knocks on the door and says, hey, by the way, we can no longer get in because expansion is over, but we can buy a team in Canada and move it to the United States. Here's $900 million for your team that's valued at $450. You'd have to be stupid to say no. This is just another, like the president says, God love him, he says, no, we're abandoned. Forget about it. The winterizing the stadium, the grass doesn't grow anyway. And nobody dares follow up, question. Nobody cares. Alarm bells don't go off for anybody, because you know what? At the end of the day, what's more important is, how's Josh Anderson doing? But these are reasons why I need somebody to reassure me, and actions are louder than words, and sometimes inactions. When I don't see you spending money to winterize the stadium and the field and all that stuff, I'm worried. That's it.
Tony, meet me. I will ask you that question in the other way. What happened the day then they decide to build that stadium? And you're not building a stadium here in Miami. We're not building a stadium because the first time they built that stadium, I asked myself a question: why didn't think about the winter? If 80 or 85% of the time we're living on some condition, then it's difficult for us to play outside. And plus that,
You want me to
can
answer the question? You want me to answer that? You really want the answer?
Yes.
And you know what it is, because they wanted to build the most cost efficient, to not say for another word, stadium possible, to the point where the contractors, up until the very last minute, the final hour and the very last minute, almost wanted to abandon the project and said, if the price is going to go down 1 penny more, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. So they went to bare minimum, and then years later they realized they had to add something else, and then years later they had to add something else. And sometimes when you just keep on adding to your house and adding to your house and adding to your house, well, sometimes you're better off just building a new house, and which they tried to do. They tried to build that stadium, of course. But for me, there's too many things. Look, the stadium is putting up a new roof of $870 million, which everyone and their sister knows that when the final bill comes in, it's going to be over $1 billion. It might be over $1.2 billion. It might be over $1.4 billion. And if it's going to be 1.5, no one's going to be surprised. How do you go ahead and build a stadium, a new roof on a stadium that's going to cost minimum $870 million without sitting down with the football team and the soccer team and saying, let's do this for you. You be the full-time tenants here, and all we'll ask in return is that you're going to be here for X amount of time, because you're going to rent this out for X amount of time per year for X amount of years. How does that not take place? And then instead of $870 million repair, it's a $1.4 billion, $1.5 billion stadium. But because it's Montreal and construction is what it is, it's going to end up being a $2.2 billion stadium. Okay, I get it. But aren't you better off with a $2.2 billion stadium, brand new, with a full-time tenant like CF Montreal, with a full-time tenant like the Montreal Alouettes, busy X amount of time per year for sports, busy X amount of time per year for music, busy X amount of time per year for festivals, busy X amount of time per year for monster trucks and motorcycles and all that stuff. And then the stadium that you have, you can end up having your academy teams play there. You can end up having a women's team that's going to go in the Project 8 that'll play there. You could end up having that used. That could be your training facility if you want, so that you don't have to train on the Olympic Stadium and you keep the grass fresh for game time. There's too many things that don't make sense. But once again, because it's soccer, and there's like 2% of the media in the province cares about soccer, and the rest, they don't. Nobody really makes a big stink about it. And because it's Quebec, they even made the whole stadium thing die. You know, if this would be the United States, and this $870 million for a fixed roof on a stadium would come up, and they would tell people that it would cost $2 billion to demolish it. And there's actually some people that actually buy that malarkey because they're stupid. Because they're stupid, they buy it. And here, we make a big story about it for 48 to 72 hours, maybe because the Canadians don't have a game. The second they have a game, we'll talk about Caulfield, Suzuki, Montembeault, Nick Matheson, and nobody cares about the stadium, and nobody cares about that. I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose.
Tony, me, I just believe that time will change, because whatever people don't understand, that this game of soccer is bigger than any other sport in the world, and it's just a matter of time. Then, you know, the more and more like people like you, like certain people, they're getting involved, and we're gonna hear a voice. And this sport, like, we didn't get any game of the World Cup. People, they don't know the atmosphere and the revenue we just missed to be able to even to take in charge of that stadium. So for me, it's just a matter of time before people realize how big this sport is in the world.
Yeah, I hear you. But unfortunately, listen, the second that Montreal backed out, Vic Montagliani, who lives in Vancouver, he told Vancouver, guys, go in right away. You'll see. Be the greatest thing that ever happened to you. Anyway, you know what? We'll wait and see. The World Cup is going to be 2 years from now. You know, and I know that when we get there and Montreal's not going to be hosting any games, we're going to say we should have. But we already knew that we should have. But obviously, the people in power, they didn't want to spend the money on the World Cup. They wanted to spend $870 million, which is going to turn into $1.3 billion on a fixed roof instead. On a fixed. By the way, the seats are not going to be in that $870 million. By the way, no seats. Still the same hard-covered plastic cold seats, uncomfortable seats that you'd rather sit on a block of cement instead. The chances are, when you come home after watching a game there, I'm talking about Olympic Stadium, you're going to have hemorrhoids because the seats just bothered you that much, right? By the way, the sound is still going to be the same terrible sound that every time they have a concert there, like the best band in the world, sounds like Tony Marinaro singing on the radio, but no problem. You're going to see what that bill's going to be in the end. But the people that have to make money are going to make money. I'm telling you, Montreal really, as Bobby says, truly is special. All right, okay. So once again, let's hear from head coach. As I went off on a tangent there. I just went off. I went nuts, but that's what it is. Let's hear from Laurent Courtois at the end of the game.
Là, du résultat, j'ai pas reconnu, et c'est moi le premier fautif, j'ai pas reconnu mes gars sur des actions. Il a manqué de la compétitivité, il a manqué de la solidarité, de l'humilité. Ce soir, c'est une vraie déception. Et je me regarde dans la glace et j'ai apparemment beaucoup à travailler pour que le message soit plus clair.
All right, there you have it. The coach says we no solidarity on this evening. We lacked collective play. We lacked involvement. We lacked intensity. I have to take a look at what's going on here because clearly we have a lot to work on. But very, very disappointing result. Let's hear from Joel Waterman now.
Out-competed tonight. We lost duels. We lost second balls. That's not on coach to teach us. That's on us to get ourselves motivated and for us to bring that to the table every game. So, our message was that can never happen again, and it won't.
All right. Our message was it can never happen again, and it won't. What did you make of Joel Waterman, who's saying it's up to us? We arrived at the second balls. We arrived second on the ball. We were a step behind the play. That's on us, not on the coach.
I like that. There's some leaders of the team, they take responsibility about it. Even what the coach said before. You know what? I rather hear that. It's more scary than the last coach, Lasala, used to say after the games, if you remember. So for me, I feel very comfortable with all those two leaders. They came out and they'd be like, you know what? The first person to blame is us. So I like that, and I hope then, you know what? You can never say never because it's a soccer game. Nothing is predictable, but the attitude, I want to see a different attitude when it comes to difficult moments.
Home opener on Saturday versus Cincinnati. Will I see you at the stadium? I know you're a season ticket holder. So am I.
Of course. You know what? We're not here to just people they think we criticize or whatever. The only thing I always say about us is we are big fans. We are big fans of Montreal. And even if people, they think, we criticize, you know what? We want this team to be better and to be proud of it. And I am proud of it. And I don't have no problem spending the dollar I need to be able to watch a good team performance, and bring my kids so they can see this beautiful game.
All right. I say this. They lost 5-0. If you don't criticize the way they played, the formation, the tactics, the subs, the preparation, if you don't criticize what you saw on Saturday, you're just a kiss-ass media. I never have been, and I never will be. When you want the kiss-ass stuff, go to other people. When you want to know the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly, come to me. When they win, and they deserve to win, we're the presidents of the fan club, and we'll tell you everything that they did right, and we'll point out all the great performances. They lost 5-0 on Saturday night. It was an absolute disaster. Having said that, it happens for almost every team once or twice in a season. It happened to them. It's 3 straight losses on the road now. They were all ugly in a different way. Big home opener coming up. Let's see what kind of adjustments are ready. I know the fans will be ready. The players are going to want this one badly. It's a home opener in front of family and friends. We look forward to it on Saturday. I'll be back, if all goes well, with Nilton George a little bit later on in the week. Ali Gerba from Complete Striker in Mirabel. Hey, by the way, what's your game shape like?
Well, you worry about me. Because I saw that we had the same thing at Patrice Bernier, and you worry about my shape?
I don't know. I don't know if I should talk about this, but I heard a rumor. Is there any truth to what I heard, or are you planning? So you're going to be playing in the Patrice Bernier and Friends at the end of April, of course.
Yes.
There's going to be another event which we're going to talk to you about in support of ALS Quebec, which is going to take place in the first week of June. We'll talk to you about that in due time as well. I know you're playing more often. I know you're on the field all the time with some of the kids that come to see you at Complete Striker. Are you getting into it more regularly, or?
To be honest, I have some little goals, and you know what? I will say that when the time comes, because you know what, coming back from, it's been a long time I didn't play, and coming back to play, you know what, you have all those little stuff that coming up. You try to push the fitness, but something holding you back. But so far it's been so good.
I knew it. I knew it. He saw the same videos of people in Saudi Arabia giving Rolex watches to players. He's going to play in Saudi Arabia for millions and millions of dollars. Ali Gerba, all the best to you, my man. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right. There you have it. All right. There you have it. Ali Gerba. Special thanks to Shane Gomo. Special thanks to all of you watching on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter Live. Once again, follow us on our Instagram. Follow us on our Twitter at SickPod, CFMTL. Special thanks to our partners and our sponsors, Energy Transportation Group, Playground, Enov Spa, and Ali Gerba's Complete Striker Center in Mirabel. To you, my Sick Army and my Sick community, thank you very much for watching. I'll be back in a couple of days, once again, with more CF Montreal talk. For Shane Gomo and Master Control, I'm Tony Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, CF Montreal Talk on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.